Well, I'm going to be bold today and make an assumption, and realizing, of course, what happens when you assume. I suspect that most of us celebrating this liturgy are, shall I say, older, senior, mature, maybe very mature. I note this because when we hear Jesus call for an increase of harvesters to be more active as disciples, we can get a little bit concerned, maybe even feel a little guilty because we're older. And to tell the truth, although many of us were quite active disciples in our own day, maybe not so much now. After all, it's hard to think of being an active disciple as our bodies slow down a bit. We need a little bit more rest, always enjoy that afternoon nap, and face some sickness or ailment. Yet Jesus teaches, proclaims, cures, initiates, and calls for more help. And we ask, what can I do? I want to suggest one of the most powerful ways in which we seniors can be active, whether we're getting around quite well or confined to a bed. That suggestion is prayer. I want to suggest that we have an active prayer life, not only at our daily Eucharist, but other moments during our day. For example, we may hear on the radio or news that there's been an earthquake, and our first response would be, Lord, I say a prayer for those people. We need to own that an active prayer makes us active disciples. Prayer supports and builds community. When we celebrate the Eucharist, we must pray for one another. It's a critical element of this Mass. We are not here praying just for ourselves. We are praying for one another. And that's key. We give of our prayer and of our presence to and for and with one another. That is the body of Christ, of which we can be active members, doing our discipleship thing the best that we can, no matter what our age. When Jacob wrestled with the Lord, he may have suffered an injury, but he did not lose the battle. We could see this encounter, I think, symbolically as Jacob in prayer, wrestling to draw closer to God. And the practice of prayer, like him, changes us. As David Brooks notes in his book, The Second Mountain, over time, prayer reorients the desires. Just as old couples become more like each other over time, the person who spends years hearing and responding to God's company becomes more like God at the secret level, the places only God can see. As a result of his prayer struggle, Jacob became the father of a nation. Through prayer, which at times can be a struggle for us, it will build faith, encourage hope, and assure us of God's love. Today, young or senior, maturing or mature, let's be active disciples, now at the Eucharist and all day long.